Hello and welcome. Welcome to Neurographica Americas Spring Session. My name is Lana Shalomov and I'm a certified instructor and coach in Neurographica. We welcome you to Neurographica Americas, where we have presenting you a very comprehensive spring semester. We had amazing classes in March, and now we will be moving forward to April very soon. Please join us at Neurographica Americas group. We have groups in Russian and in English, and you're welcome to join both. We have a vibrant, happening schedule for April coming up. Visit us to get the details. And I welcome you to my class. My name is Alana Shalomov. I am a certified instructor and coach in Neurographica. I have been using Neurographica as a creative solution for the past year and a half. In my personal life, I've been using it for more than 2 years already, and in my professional life, I've been using it for the past year. I've been using it to teach my students online and offline. Neurographic is an amazing modality which gives you creative solutions for anything that life throws you, whether it's something stressful at this specific moment, or whether you have a goal that you would like to reach when it comes to your professional life, or your personal life, relationship issues with family and friends, personal goals, professional goals. Let's say you want to reach a certain career point. You're welcome to use Neurographic. We have tons of the Neurographic is a modality that uses, as the word suggested, neurographic. We use neurolines, NeuroArt, so to say, and we add a certain graphical elements that bring the solution to a different spiritually energetic level and help you find a solution that will help you reach the goal in very manageable, reachable steps. So, like I said, my name is Lana Shalomov. I live in New York City. I am very happy to be teaching you today. My style of presentation, Neurographica, always includes presenting Kabbalistic views on the world and the Jewish philosophy. When we come to the world, I'm actually the director of Jewish education at Neurographica Americas. And in my practice, I integrate Neurographica together with Kabbalistic views, Kabbalistic terms, Kabbalistic ideas about how the world is. I also bring a lot of Jewish feministic approach, Jewish feminine approach to life, how we, as a Jewish woman, how I see life, how I approach life. And I would like to tell you that Neurographic is an amazing, amazing modality to be used to solve any issues. I'll be telling you, whether it's family, whether it's, within the community, something, anything, professional, career-wise. Welcome to join me today. Today is going to be a class on miracles, right? Sounds very interesting. Welcome. I will be switching now to my drawing mode. And like I said before, welcome to my class. Let's get started. It's so much fun that we have to start right away. So I'm switching my video. Just stay tuned with me. If for some reason there's a glitch, just rejoin the group. I'm sure everything is fine. Okay, here we are. So today we will be discussing, what I usually do is, first, I am giving you some terms and some ideas so you have an idea of what we're learning and why we're learning, and then we will start to draw, okay? So the idea we're coming up with today is about a miracle. What is a miracle, right? First and foremost, I would like to have all of you give me some pluses. You can say hello if you want, or you can just put a plus. It's letting me know that I am clear, that you can hear me, that my video is clear, my voice is clear. You can also actually let me know where you're from. Are you from the States? Are you from Europe? Are you from Russia? Maybe even. I have a friend who is in Russia. She's learning to become an instructor now. She lives in St. Petersburg, and she speaks perfect English because she lived in America for a long period of time. So that would be an interesting. Neurographica is actually a modality-wise specifically mentioned Russian is because it's a modality that originated in Russia. It was created by a Russian psychologist and coach named Pavel Piskaryov, a very interesting person. He devised Neurographica. He came up with it. He devised it. He coined the terms. Right now, Neurographica is actually a patented term, both in Russia, in many countries in Europe, and it's actually the same thing in America, just so you know. So our school, Neurographica Americas, is the first school that teaches in English, and we're very happy to be bringing you this amazing modality to your so you can understand and learn more about it. Okay, so the topic of our class today is miracle. Okay, I'm trying to make sure that the paper is in the middle of my, table, so you comfortably see everything I draw. Sure, my camera is clear. Okay. So, okay, so let's start, okay? Just want to make sure that we are starting. Okay, so for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you, if you are new to Neurographica, I highly advise you to go back and watch the elements of Neurographica. We have sessions in our school. We have sessions on YouTube also about the basic elements of Neurographica, about ABCs of Neurographica, what Neurographica is all about. What are the main terms you should be knowing in Neurographica in order for you to be able to draw, okay? I will also mention something today, but I will be doing it really quickly because I would like to make sure we have enough time to present the algorithm and open it up so you can be able to draw this on your own at home. So, our topic for today is miracle. Why miracle? You're going to ask me, right? Usually, miracles is something we talk about in the winter. Right now is spring. Miracle is something we talk about in the winter, especially when the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah comes up. There's a lot of talk about miracle. Why miracle? What's a miracle? What is, what's going on? And I decided I would like to talk about miracle now too, because this is actually, from a Judaism point of view, this is also an important time because we're getting ready for the holiday of Passover. And that's a miraculous time because this was a time when, just for those of you who are not familiar with the story of Passover, it's a time when the Jewish nation, the Jews as a nation, were slaves in the country that was named back then Mitzrayim, which now we would coin as Egypt because territorially, geographically, it's located in the same place as Egypt. And the Jewish nation were slaves. The Jews were slaves, and that's when the spiritual rebirthing happened of the nation. There was a person named Moses, or Moshe as we call him in Hebrew. He was born, and he was chosen by God, by the Almighty, to lead the Jewish nation out of Egypt and to form a special nation out of them. So basically, the Jews were given kind of a mission to be the nation of God, so to say. And as we know further on, all the basic monotheistic religion in the world came based on the Judaism, right? Based on Jewish religion. We have Christianity formed afterwards, and Islam, the Muslim religion also was formed because, based on Judaic values and Judaic philosophy and the basis of Jewish religion, which is monotheism, which means God is one. So the way the Jews came out of Egypt was highly connected to lots of miracles. So first and foremost, the most famous were the 10 plagues. These were the plagues, the kind of punishments for the Egypt as a country for using another nation, in this specific case, the Jews, as slaves to conduct their own economical and materialistic gains. So as a result, they were kind of hit with 10 plagues, And the miracle in this case was that the Jews were not at all affected by the 10 plagues. They were like famine. They were like, the animal dying. They were like crops, completely beat out by the fire and hail. And, there was like insects coming to eat. There are lots of, you can welcome to Google. It's a famous story of the 10 plagues. The miracle that we access here is that the nation, the Jews, the ancient Hebrews, so to call, they were affected. They were not affected at all by the 10 plagues. They were kind of protected. And that was a miracle in itself. The next miracle was that the Pharaoh, who was a ruler in Egypt, did not let the Jews leave. All throughout the 10 miracles, he would a few times change his mind, say, okay, you can leave. And then as soon as the plague would finish, they would say, no, I'm not letting you go. Until the last plague, at which point he said, just go already. I'm tired of your plagues. And the Jews leave. And then they start leaving Egypt, which was unheard of at that point. Egypt was the most powerful country in the world. And they were quite powerful in sorcery, something as we know today as sorcery. And they had strong, charms protecting the whole country. So nobody could ever leave the country of Egypt. And here we don't have not just one person or two person, but actually the whole nation who used to be slaves leaving this most powerful country called Egypt. So that's a miracle also. Another story that happened, which I would like to bring on, is that, the Jews approach, they go across the desert, they escape from Egypt, go across the desert. They're supposed to eventually come to the country that we right now know as the land of Israel, called Eretz Israel in Hebrew. And they approach this, they're on the way to the land of Israel. Land of Israel is a special holy land where the world was created, and it has a highly spiritual connection, specifically to the Jewish nation because of the forefathers, and specifically to connection to God. So what happens here is that they in the desert, and then they come across a Red Sea, right? It's something called the Red Sea, it's something called the Reed Sea. Sometimes it's spelled as a red because it's a color red, and sometimes it's called as a reed because it has red reeds, and it's called the Reed Sea, but Yam Suf it's called in Hebrew. And what happens here is that the Jewish nation are approaching the sea, and what do they see happening? Pharaoh decided once again that he wants to go back on his word, and he sends a huge Egyptian army. As I mentioned, this was the strongest country in the world, and of course they had the strongest army at that point, and they're reaching the Jews. They want to follow up the Jews, and they want to bring them back, right? You can imagine of the massacre that would be happening if there wouldn't be again. The world is miracle. So what's happening? What is the miracle here? The sea parts. It's one of the most famous stories, it's been like coined the most. It's one of the most famous stories in the Bible, in the Torah, as we call it. The Jews call the Bible the Torah or the Tanakh, which means many books, And what happened is the sea split, and the Jewish nation, if you can imagine it, it's hard to imagine, but there are details in the Torah, how exactly it happens. They just walk on dry land, and the sea just kind of stands as a wall, and people are walking through the Red Sea, and they pass the whole sea, and they come out on the other side, and this is how they escape the Egyptian. Meanwhile, the Egyptians see the Jews passing, and they're like, oh, okay, so it means we can go after them. They follow the Jews, and what happens is the Jews come out of the sea, and the sea just closes up on all those Egyptian soldiers that were planning to kill and massacre the whole nation. So that's another miracle that happened that I would like to bring up, which I find to be absolutely, the historians, the theologists, they all find this story to be one of the most unique, one of the most miraculous. Here comes the word miracle. And as we approach the holiday of Passover, as we're approaching spring, right? Spring is all about awakening and reawakening yourself after, like in the winter, I myself included, most people feel like they want to sleep, right? Because it's like cold outside. It's not very, it's not very like refreshing in a way. Although there are some people, I have friends who love the winter. They love the snow. They actually say the snow and the winter is the most refreshing time of the year for them. The point here is that the spring is a time of rebirthing, reawakening, bringing yourself again. And when I say about miracle is like a way to kind of reawake yourself. And we will touch on it more today. So what I would like to give you today is a little bit called like something like of algorithm about what a miracle is and how we can go into it. The question here I'm posing to you today, can we bring miracle to our life like anytime we want to? Well, the answer I'm going to give you is, if we're using Neurographica, yes, we can. Okay? So, again, I'm going to write the word is miracle. And over here, I am going to present to you the steps of the algorithm. We're going to have about 6 to 7 steps in our algorithm, and I'm going to draw the necessary graphical visualization for you, and we will actually start drawing on our paper very soon, okay? So first I would like to explain to you, to bring to you some Kabbalistic terms together with the whole psychological / spiritual energetical way of what miracle is, okay? So I invite you to draw like a circle, a big circle that's size of your picture, okay? This is a circle. This is a circle, and I'm going to start to you explaining how the world was created from a Kabbalistic point of view, from a highly spiritual point of view. So first and foremost, I'm going to give you this. First and foremost, just for visual explanation, in the whole universe, the universe was filled with white, infinite light. It's called Or Ein Sof. It's called Or Ein Sof in the Hebrew terms, which means infinite light. This is the light of Almighty. This is a light of God Almighty. And the light was so dense, so strong, that there was no space, no way, no possibility for anything to be created whatsoever. Then what happened is God, because he's so kind, his kindness is immeasurable in our human terms, but we will coin it as the word kind. He decided to create the world, and the way he or she, I actually often say he or she because, God is a gender neutral term. So we can't really put a he or she on it. But so God put a dot in a certain space in the universe. See this dot? And from that dot, it says that she has decided to lower his light, to kind of release or back up his light, his or her light, in all the sides at the same lens. So basically imagine from all the sides at the same lens, meaning, okay, so what do we have now? We have a circle. That's right. So circle is the very first creation, graphical creation that God has created when it comes to the creation of the world. This term for kind of diminishing the light or like taking away the light in a certain area is called tzimtzum. Okay? So I'm going to further explain to you on this paper, okay? Because I want a bigger circle for you in order for you to understand what I'm talking about, okay? So this is the center of the universe. So to say, literally the center of the universe. You know how there's a term, center of the universe? So that's right. The center of the universe was created. There was a dot. And from that dot, light was going in different directions. We call that action is called tzimtzum, which means diminishing of the light. And as a result, we have a circle that was created, and that circle is like a boundary between the Or, Ein, Sof, which means infinite light, and the universe that we live in right now. Okay, the universe, the whole universe. We're talking about like really the whole universe, like, you know, talking about like as in what's it called, from the scientific point of view. Then, so what happens next is that there were 4 worlds that were created by God. With each world, we're getting closer and closer to our own personal world. And in that world is where we live, okay? So this dot, I'm going to put a circle around it. We'll make it bigger when we draw. I'm just giving you a schematic view first. This dot is, you know what, we're going to call it what it is. This is me, I, okay? This is you. And you live right here. You live in a realistic world. We're going to call this reality, okay? There are 3 worlds that we will consider. After the reality, now between the reality and this outward, you know, the most outward spiritual boundary between the universe and the infinite light of God, which is completely incomprehensible by us personally. But we have 4 worlds, okay? So we're going to draw 1 circle and 2 circles, okay? So the first world that God created in this universe already, it's called Atzilut. Atzilut, okay? It's a world called Atzilut, okay? According to us, from a human point of view, this is the most highest spiritual world. This is the highest spiritual world that we can ever achieve, okay? So this is where all the souls kind of come from. This is the highest world, okay? Highest spiritual world, okay? The next world we have is called Bria. The third world is Yetzirah. And the last world, the realistic world, it's called Asiya. Okay, just to explain to you, as some of you may already understand and see the comparison here, right? So Atzilut is the spirituality, right? The spirituality. Everybody, a lot of people know the concept of the 4 worlds, right? The Bria is a mental world, right? We all have 4 worlds. The Yetzirah is an emotional world. That's right. This is where our emotions come from. And Asiya is the physical world, okay? This is where we have a body, and this is where we feel our body, and this is the world that we're talking right now, where we live right now, okay? So I'm not going to talk much about Kabbalistic terms now. I will talk more when we draw. I would like to start drawing with you. So what I am going to explain to you the idea of what we're doing now in regards to the miracle, okay? So you see what Or Ein Sof, the infinite light, is? This is where that concept of a miracle is, okay? What is a miracle if we think about it? A miracle is something that happens beyond the realm of our mind, of our comprehension, of understanding, like, you know, something like, and I'm going to use this is the most basic example, the example of, let's say, crossing the Red Sea. You know how the Red Sea split for the Jews when they were escaping from Egypt? That's a miracle. So what is a miracle in this case, right? As an example in this, a miracle in this case is, you know, the ability to see something that's incomprehensible in your mind, right? The fact that the sea can be split and they would stand as a wall and people would walk on the dry land is completely inconceivable by our human mind. I just want to let you know, right? Like, if I would talk about it with a scientist, and there are cases where scientists completely deny the fact that this can actually exist and this can actually happen. And actually, there are cases when scientists actually came up with a meaning for what happened exactly in a scientific term. They call it a tsunami. They said it was a tsunami, a great tsunami. So what happens during the tsunami, of course? The water like kind of goes up and the land kind of bears itself under the water. Just to explain to you in very basic terms. So the miracle is something that happens so incomprehensible by our mind that we're going to put it out here on the same wavelengths, in the same area as Or Ein Sof, infinite light, something completely beyond our understanding. Or Ein Sof is a reference to God Almighty, right? Can we in any way understand God? We can only understand God, or the way God functions in this world, only by the attributes that we human possess, right? God is much more beyond of anything we can possibly understand, and even on the highest spiritual, like even if you take the biggest sages, you know, the most like biggest, like, you know, I know so many Jewish sages that were able to, you know, there are stories in the Talmud, which is like one of the books of the Jewish philosophy and Jewish learning, where the sages, the people, you know, the rabbis, they were able to, you know, when a person would pass away, they were able to bring back the person. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? To revive, to kind of, the person would be alive again. So this is like a very high spiritual, you know, like spiritual at a very high level. Even people like that cannot fully comprehend and understand what God is all about. So we're going to put miracle in that sense, because really miracle is completely beyond our understanding. What happens here? I'm going to get back to the center. This is I, right? When we live in reality, we have, in the physical world, we have something called the reality, right? We understand how it works, right? I hold a pen, I put it pointed down, it writes. I'm not floating up in space because of that word just escaped my mind, of course. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, because of the scientific term, because, you know, we are, the way it's a science, the way the world works is that we are connected to Earth and we walk on Earth, right? So this is the reality world, okay? Now, what happens if we're trying to like reach the next world? There's a world that's called probability, okay? It's called a probability. I'm going actually probability, okay? I'm going to give you a very specific, realistic example from this physical world, okay? This is the example I use with my students, and it's usually very successful. Just take an example of winning the lottery, right? Let's say, that's not my topic for today, but just for the sake of explanation, winning the lottery, right? Winning the lottery. Okay, so my goal, let's say, is winning the lottery. Just give you an example. Really not. I have other more important goals, but okay. Winning the lottery. I don't know. I don't mind winning the lottery also. So in my physical world, right, I am thinking about winning the lottery, but when I think about it, it's completely like impossible. Like, it's a miracle. If I win the lottery, it's a miracle, right? And let's talk about winning the lottery. Let's take a really like huge sum of money, not just even $1 million. Let's say $1 billion, right? Because that's like a really huge, or $10 billion or $100 billion. Just the more impossible it is, the better the topic is, you know. $100 billion, okay? Winning $100 billion, right? It's to you, it sounds like, okay, let's not talk fairy tales here. So what I'm saying is, like, winning $100 billion is really going to be right here. $100 billion, right? Winning. Not just like earning during the lifetime, which is also, by the way, a high number, but we're talking about specifically winning in one shot. That's a miracle. That's actually a miracle. Like, it's a totally comprehensible by your mind. So when we talk about like reality, for us to get to this point, right, it's like, what are you talking about? And it's true, because you have to pass through 1, 2, 3 more walls and then go beyond this boundary in order to get to the miracle. So what happens here is, like, I'm thinking $100 billion, forget about it. My mind is so incomprehensive of this idea that I would not even start thinking about what I can do. I may draw a picture about it. I may draw Neurographica, but in my mind, realistically, it's so impossible that I would probably not have any possible ideas of how to achieve it, right? Now, when I'm thinking about, let's get a smaller realm, right? A smaller world, closer to the physical world. Let's talk about this point. This world is a probability. In the probability world, when I say Okay, forget about 100 billion. Don't worry about 100 billions. How about winning $10,000? Is that a possibility? If you ask me today, I'm going to tell you 100% yes. And I have proof of that. I want to tell you that there were twice I gave donations. I give donations every year to this wonderful Jewish organization called URA. I'm affiliated with them. I love them. I study Judaism through them. Amazing, amazing organization. And I want to tell you, every year they have an auction. I don't know. I know, actually it didn't pass. It's usually, I think it passed this year. Usually it finishes around April or May. You can check it out. They have auctions every single year in the winter and spring. And I always give them donation, and twice, not once, twice. I won one of their auctions for $10,000. I am not joking. One year it was $10,000, and another year I won a car, and they gave me a choice, either a car or the $10,000. Okay, so not just once, but twice I won. So in my mind, it is completely possible to win, $100. I'm going to call it probable. It's completely probable. It's the highest probability ever. Totally. Not an issue for me at all. Like if you tell me, let's draw a picture about winning $10,000, and I've done it. Done, but the picture, not the winning. When I won the $10,000, once was 10 years ago and once was 8 years ago. So no, that was way before Neurographica was invented, which was invented 4 years ago. So yeah, but what I want to say is I did draw with Neurographica, earning $10,000, and it came true. Possible. Now, simply because I'm trying to explain to you from a psychological point of view, $10,000 is not such a huge amount of money where you're going to think, oh, it's impossible. Not even going to bother attempting it, right? Now, if you go to the next world, which would be, let's say, the next possibility, I would say, how about winning, $10,000? How about winning $100,000, right? Or how about winning, I'll make it even bigger, $1 million. How about we winning $1 million, right? Right? Am I drawing it right? 100. I think I drew $1 billion. Okay. Well, you got it. $1 million is what I'm trying to give you as an example. So we have $1 million. And what do you think? For $1 million, my mind starts giving, and this is something we call resistance in the psychological, spiritual, coaching world. We call this a resistance, right? When I tell myself $1 million, my mind is like bursting, laughing, like in your dreams, honey. Fairy tale, like my daughter was telling me this morning, we're discussing fairy tales, and she's like, Mom, fairy tales is something that's not real. And I was thinking, oh, how funny that this topic came up today, and I started discussing her. We said the whole story of Passover. To some people, it may sound like a miracle. There's a story about a boy who comes home and tells his father, Dad, you're not going to believe what our rabbi tells us today. And he's like, why? What happened? And he went to Sunday school, right? So he comes back, and this boy is saying, he told us that there was this guy, Moses, and he was like a superhero, and he took the Jews, and everybody were flying, and were passing by the bridge, and then the bridge exploded, but everybody ran and were able to get off the bridge at the last moment. And people were like able to fly over, and then they were flying down, and then everything happened. He gives like the whole details of like, the super, what do you call that? Those Hollywood movies where the superheroes are. And the father's looking at me, he's like, are you sure? It doesn't sound very realistic. He's like, yeah, Dad, I was just giving you this was like a joke compared to what the rabbi really told us happened. So what I'm trying to say is like, he was trying to make a point that the Hollywood kind of style stories, movies, are really nothing compared to what really happened to the Jewish nation, where they were able to escape all the plagues and then cross the Red Sea and escape the Egyptian and all that stuff. So in that sense, it's same thing here when it comes to $1 million. My mind is like, let's not start flying up high in the air. It's time to live down here in the world. And what I'm trying to say, this world is, now if you ask me, well, you want $10,000, is it possible to win $1 million? And I start thinking, and in my mind, my mind, my mental world, right? Start saying, maybe you're right. You're right. $10,000 at that moment would not seem possible to you too, right? 10 years ago, right? Now, after you won it, not just once, but twice, you think, hey, why not? I can win $1 million. Do you see what's happening here? Do you see what we're going through here? I can win $1 million. So this world is a world of possibility, okay? Meaning, in our mind, in our mental world, right? First, remember how the progression would happen first? First, even winning $10,000 was impossible. After I explained to you that there were 2 times, your mind started already thinking, oh, okay, that's a possibility. Then we came to $1 million possibility of winning. And first, I was like, impossible, started laughing. Then I'm like, why not? I want $10,000. Why can't I win 1 million? That's a possibility too, right? Now, my mind definitely thinks of it as a possibility. Now, you're ready to go to the next level? The next level is like, I'm telling you, how about winning $1 billion? And you're like, ha, ha, ha. Impossible, right? How in the world is it possible? You can talk to me. You can talk me into winning $10,000. You can talk me into winning $1 million, right? Or 100,000 or $1 million. You can talk me into winning $1 million, but 1 billion? Are you out of your mind? And in this case, we will tell you, yes, we are out of our mind because we're in the next realm, which is the spiritual realm, which we would call the impossible. Impossible, okay? The world for this world is impossible. I come up with any person, I say $1 billion, impossible. You tell me now, I'm at the point where I believe in $10,000 because it happened to me. I believe in $100 million winning. It didn't happen to me yet, but I totally can comprehend. My mind is able to comprehend and envision it. Remember the word envision. This is a very important word when it comes to Neurographica. We envision the fact that we can win $1 million. Completely possible in my mind now. Absolutely. Like I passed this point. Now I'm out of my mind, literally, because I went into the highest possible realm in this universe, which is called impossibility. And by impossibility, what we mean is that it's a most highest spiritual world. And in my mind, our mind is incapable of understanding it. What is incapable of understanding it? Our spirituality. We do have something inside ourselves. We have something called neshama. Neshama is a soul. It's actually, there will be one session I will make about, it's one part of our soul. And our neshama is completely tied into the spiritual part. And that part of our soul, let's call it the way, one word, our soul tells us that it is possible to achieve anything in this world. Okay, something that we coin as impossible by our mind. Our spiritual point says it is possible. You have potential in the depth of your soul that you are completely unaware of. Yes, it is possible. So I'm listening to my soul and I'm like, you know what? If you say so, you say it's possible, I'm going to believe you. Do you know how? Why? Because at this point in my world, for example, I have such a deep connection to my spiritual part of the soul. I have such a deep connection to it that when it tells me it's possible, I'm going to believe it. Because just like I know that logically, mentally, if you tell me there is no God, I'm going to be like, kind of logically, it doesn't make sense that there is some kind of existence, being that's beyond this realm and completely controls everything in the world. I'm kind of going to say, but at this point, I know there's God, right? I don't see God. We don't see God. But then on the other hand, we don't see air either. But yet we know there's something called air, even though it's invisible. And we need it to survive. The same thing is the concept of high spirituality, of high being. In this case, I'm referring to it as God Almighty. And I am connecting it to the fact that just like I believe there is God exists, and that's a possibility, I believe, guess what? I believe now that there's a possibility that I can win in one shot $1 billion, right? That's it. In my world, this is possible, although I'm leaving the word impossible because this is the name of the word. Okay, impossible. From a mental point of view, it's impossible because our mind cannot comprehend it, but it's a possibility. I believe in it with my soul, with my, with my soul. That's what I'm going to call it. Now, what is a miracle? A miracle is right here. Right here is a miracle. A miracle is beyond anything we have described. A miracle is right here, something that beyond our capabilities to understand mentally or even spiritually in a way. It's something where we know, because the sages have told us, that there is such a thing as called as something beyond the world, right? It's actually mentioned that the first verse in the Torah, that God created the world. And the question is, because as we know, Torah is all about asking questions. The first question that's been asked is, what was before, right? What was before the world was created? And there are many, many ideas and books have written on that topic. And the Kabbalistic view that I'm presenting to you today is called Or Ein Sof. It's an infinite light. It's God Almighty in His, utmost being, so to say, something that's completely incomprehensible by us. But that's happening. That's a miracle. Okay? The miracle stands in this, we completely cannot comprehend the fact that something like a miracle can happen, right? Now, what I did here today with you, as you can see, was $1 billion, right? I brought you closer to the fact that even though we are 3 worlds away from the concept of miracle, we are so close to it, right? But I would like to bring to you, which is what I was doing now, that this boundary between the impossible and that world of the miracle is the thickest boundary, right? If at this point I'm quite versed, thank God, in Torah, I learned a lot about the way God works, Kabbalistically and other ways. If you think about, jumping over these 3 worlds, I was able to do it. Now, going beyond the world, the specific world, the last world, and going into reaching the miracle is the hardest thing, because this boundary is the thickest and it's very hard, right? And let's take our example. Now, you are telling me that I completely believe, and to me it's like piece of cake now to win $10,000. Piece of cake. I've done it twice, can do it again. Winning $1 million, absolutely possible. Winning $1 billion? Yes, of course it's possible. Why not? Do you see what I've gone in my faith, belief, psychological, mental capabilities? Now, if I tell you $100 billion, you're going to be like, what is $100 billion even in the first place? Like, can you mentally imagine that amount of money? Like when you talk about 10,000 or $1 million, we completely can mentally imagine even like, that suitcase stacked up with money like they do in the Hollywood movies. And even $1 billion in my mind is like totally physically accessible. Like, okay, so probably it's 2 suitcases of money, right? Stacked up with like $100 bills, right? I have not done physically, but maybe that's a good like mental exercise. Sit down and count how many $100 bills would it take to have a $1 billion, and how many suitcases, what size of a suitcase it would take. If any of you are adventurous enough, you're welcome to do that. Let me know. I did. Okay, so $1 billion completely capable in my mind. Okay, I'm imagining it as 2 suitcases of money. Now, you tell me $100 billion in my mind is like you telling me, how would you like to fly to the moon? In my mind is like, would I like to fly into the moon? I don't even know. Like, I never even thought about it. Same thing in the same category for me when you ask me $100 billion. So, do you see what I'm trying to bring you? $100 billion is completely beyond our realm of comprehension. Exactly what Or Ein Sof, the idea of Or Ein Sof is. Now, what I'm trying to tell you, and we will start drawing soon, so start, if you haven't yet, start thinking about your topic. What is it that you would like to draw? Because for every picture, we have to have a topic. In my mind, I am thinking, it's not hard to get from the physical realm the realistic realm into the probability realm. And then you can easily pass, right? I'm going to draw a neurographic line here from me, right, to the probability land, and then to the possibility land, $1 million, why not, piece of cake, to the $1 billion impossibility land, and then I'm like stuck. I am stuck in this thick boundary, right? I am stuck in this thick boundary that's kind of safeguarding this world and me away from like the, you know, some people would call it, what are you, crazy, right? That's the sanity, okay? What really divides us from, what divides a sane person from insane person is really this one little thick line, right? Which you can cross, and I'm not bringing you here to, I'm not telling you to become insane. What I'm trying to tell you is to start believing in miracles, okay? So, okay, I went through this, right? I passed this boundary, right? Now I passed this boundary. Now I passed this boundaries easily, right? I'm going to make a nice neurographic line here. Now, I'm trying to pass through this line. Physically, I'm not able to do it yet because mentally I'm like $100 billion. It's incomprehensible to me. It's like saying you can fly to the moon. Now, when I start thinking about, can I really compare it to flying to the moon? Think about the philosophical conversation I'm bringing you here. Am I interested in flying to the moon? No, I am not interested in flying to the moon. That is not my goal. What is my goal? In this case, my goal is winning $1 billion. That is my goal. Now, when I start thinking flying to the moon, I don't even care passing this boundary. I comfortably going back. Now, when I think about winning $100 billion, I just started thinking like, look, I just passed this realm. I can, $10,000 is a piece of cake for me now. $1 million, sure, you know, you can tell me, if I give you $100 million, would you have it change? And I would be sure saying, of course, you know, here's that one suitcase that you need to change from. Now, when I get to this point, this is my coveted wish, right? This is my goal, $100 billion. And I start thinking, I'm looking back and look at all this four world that I passed through. And I'm thinking, you know, I was able to pass through this four world. Of course I can pass through here. So I start thinking that this possibilities, which slowly but surely have opened for me, can certainly open up here. And I'm able to draw this line of neurographic line and go beyond this boundary and go beyond. And I'm going to be, let's say, winning $100 billion in a circle, because we will be putting everything in a circle now. And voila. How do you like this? We have done this, okay? We have gotten to our miracle. Now this miracle is completely accessible. It is still a miracle. It's completely out of this world, but we don't have, in my mind, I do not comprehend it anymore as a way to, you know, as something that's completely impossible and never even possible, okay? In my mind, it's completely possible to win $1 billion. You know, I am like, seriously, I'm like already making plans, what I'm going to do with this money. I'm just giving you an example, okay? How realistic it is already in my mind, okay? So here, I took the miracle and drew a direct line from myself to this miracle. Honestly, at this point, the miracle, this point of winning $100 billion is completely accessible to me now. Did you see what we did? We're going to do this now on our real paper, okay? Take your markers, prepare. We're going to draw the real world, okay? So I'm going to write down here the steps of the algorithm for you, okay? So first step of the algorithm we're going to do is we're going to draw 4 circles, okay? Draw 4 circles on your paper, okay? If you want to, you can do it the way I did it on my paper over here. I am going to get OCD and take my circular and use my circular in order to draw a nice circle, because I'm going to take this session very seriously and bring it in. Okay, I'm using a circular here. Got it from Amazon, just FYI, if you're wondering where you can get a circular. Amazon for a few dollars. And I'm using a circle to draw 4. Okay, first and foremost, you making a dot on your paper. Guess who it is? That's right, this dot is you. That's right. This dot is you. I put a paper underneath so that the paper doesn't bleed too. Okay, you know what? I'm going to put a circle to see what would be the best place to make the middle part, right? Okay, before I draw a circle, I'm going to try it out to make sure that look, this is my outer world. Next, I'm going to have another world. Okay, this is, I had a class yesterday. I lead classes every week on Brighton Beach in Brooklyn area. And the class yesterday was on Kabbalistic mandala. We discussed the idea of mandala from a Kabbalistic point of view. It was amazing. They drew a beautiful mandala. So this is what a variation on the Kabbalistic mandala is, okay? So 4 circles, okay? Don't worry if you don't see it well because I will be going over it with my black marker. In the middle of the 4 circles, I'm going to make a circle. This is me, okay? This circle is me, okay? Now, this is I, me, myself, and I, so to say. Okay, and this is the physical world, and this is me. Okay, this is my realistic world. This is the world. So I'm going to draw over. Okay, so just for you to understand, okay? This is I, and this is the world around me. This is the world I live in, okay? Now, the next world is a world called Atzilut. This is the emotional realm, okay? The third one, don't worry if you don't go exactly over the circle, because guess what? We'll be neurographing everything, right? We'll be putting neurographic line through everything. And the last world is the world, the highest spiritual world, that's called Atzilut, okay? And beyond this is the world of miracle, okay? This is a miracle. Okay, so what we're going to do right now, this is what you do in your algorithm. I'm writing down. Step number 2 is write a topic on top of your paper, and then the third one, we are going to put a miracle, a circle for a miracle outwards. Okay, going to put kind of goals for each world in our topic, so to say. Let's put it this way. I'll give you examples now. Don't worry. So my topic in this world, I'm actually going on a 3 to 4 day retreat in Connecticut, where I will be talking and presenting Neurographica, and so of course from Kabbalistic point of view. And what I'm going to do is, my goal is to become a presenter on Neurographica and Jewish philosophy, Jewish, wisdom, Judaism, Tanakh, and to start presenting it to the Jewish communities all over the world, all over US, all over the world. That's my goal, right? That's in my mind, like, I just said it out loud, and to me it's like, ha ha ha, miracle. Like, to me it's like such a miracle. Like, how is it ever going to possibly happen, right? In my mind, it's totally incomprehensible, right? So this is my miracle, okay? We're drawing everything in a circle because the circle itself, Kabbalistically, like I said, remember how the world was created as a circle? Circle is a very miraculous term in Kabbalistic terms, in actual Neurographic as well. This is how amazing Neurographic is. So this is my miracle, and this is my topic. Become presenter in Neurographica all over the world, okay? presenting. I'm actually not even going to say the word become. I'm not even going to coin it in the future. I'm going to say it as a present tense, presenting Neurographica and Kabbala to Jewish communities all over the world. Okay, that's my in the world. That's what I'm going to write. Okay, it's very important to put down your theme, your topic, your quest. I call it quest, by the way. In my teaching, I call it the quest because it's a quest. You know, you're trying to achieve something. You're trying to conquer something, so to say. So that's my quest. Important to write it down in presentable terms and in presentable words in order for you to comprehend it, for your mind to comprehend it. It's just so important. Remember how we just went through all the worlds? So important for your mind to be able to comprehend what you're saying in order for it to be an achievable instrument. By the way, this is one part I would like to mention to you, that these two worlds, this first world is a conscious world, right? The physical world is a conscious. This world is subconscious, right? Subconscious. And the mental and the spiritual world are both like unconscious world, right? I mean, sometimes some people are capable in their mental world also brings up subconscious, meaning they're able to dwell into their mental world and make it a subconscious. But the spiritual world is completely unconscious. Like I said, very high spiritual people can consciously, not even consciously, subconsciously access the spiritual world. But for regular people, it's completely unconscious. This world is on/subconscious, just so you understand from a psychological point of view. Okay, so in this case, this miracle, my topic is completely a miracle. Presenting, Neurographic and Kabbala to Jewish communities all over the world, you tell me? I didn't say, New York. I didn't say America. I said all over the world, and I do mean all over the world. Okay. So what I am... Hi, Claudia. I saw you just joined me. Very nice seeing you. I wonder if you're the same Claudia from Germany? From Vienna, I'm sorry, not Germany, Vienna. So if it's you, I'm telling you hello. Let me see. You're welcome to write for me something in the chat. I've started about an hour ago already. I actually had some technical difficulties and I started like 15 minutes later. And we're in the middle of drawing. You missed the whole explanation about what we're drawing and why we're drawing, but you are welcome to view it in the video. And what I'm doing right now is we're starting our picture. So this idea is completely a miracle to me. Now, I'm right here. I'm in realistic world. This is me. And what's happening in my realistic world, right? In my realistic world, in my reality, what I am doing is I am an instructor. I'm a director of the Jewish, learning at Neurographica Americas. This is where I am now. Hello, Claudia. I saw your greetings from Vienna. Very nice seeing you. Now, if we go to the next realm, so this is the realistic realm, right? This is realistic. The physical world. Now, if we go to the next realm, the next world, it's it's a world of probability. Probable. Something could possibly happen. So what I'm thinking is probably in my world, the goal for this world would be, to be presenting all over the world. It to me is like a miracle. Now, let's make, you see what's happening here? We're making smaller steps. We're making smaller goals here. So in this case, I would say presenting to communities within New York. That's my goal. Communities in New York. That's my goal, okay? To me, that's probably, could it happen? Absolutely. Do you see what's happening? I'm already jumping in the next realm. It's a probable realm. Now, this world is possible, right? It's less, it's a higher goal than the probable goal, and it's possible, but I'm not sure yet. So possible, I can teach to, communities, let's say, presenting Neurographica and Kabbala to communities, I would say in US, okay? Maybe like even traveling to Israel, where people know a lot about Kabbalistic terms, and, it's would be easier for me to understand, for people would be able to understand what I'm talking about. That's a possible realm. Now we got to the impossible realm, and that's presenting in Europe. Like, to me, presenting in Europe is like, how would I possibly do it? Like, I don't know people. I'm not connected to people in Europe. To me, that's honestly more impossible than presenting all over US and Israel. I'll be completely honest with you. And the next step is the goal, my total goal for the miracle, right? This is my miracle. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to draw a circle in each realm, okay? In each realm, this is me. I'm going to draw that. And in this, okay, so my realistic goal for this weekend is presenting at the retreat I'm going to retreat, okay? I want to make sure I'm successful. That's going to be my goal, okay? And I'm going to take my circle and make it bigger. Okay. Now I'm going to put a circle in here. That's for the goal of presenting to communities in New York. Put another goal here. We can actually take a bigger picture if you want, a bigger paper. And that's for the goal of the possible goal, which in my mind is not so possible yet. It's US and Israel. And then the last circle will be in the last world. Okay, it's presenting in Europe. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to tell you. What we're going to do is, first, I have so many inhibitions in my mind about all these goals, specifically, ultimately about the goal of my miracle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the release of tension, the very most basic algorithm. Oh, that's right. Thank you, Claudia. I am connected to Vienna. Actually, now that you said it, I actually remember that I have a friend in Germany. So that's another way to connection. That's right. Thank you. So what I'm going to do is on each level, we're going to do a little release of tension, just to release the inhibition on that level. And we're going to start, of course, from the most realistic point. I am going to think about the retreat that I'm going on Sunday. And I'm going to do the usual release, which means put down the marker and then scream and kind of release your stress about thinking about this topic. I'm thinking whether or not I'm going to be successful, how people will understand me. Will people be able to understand me? I mean, Neurographic is completely new to the United States. People have no idea what it is. I have to be able to present it in the right terms, in order for people to understand, people who are from the psychological background, who are not from the psychological background, a lot to comprehend, a lot to prepare here. So this is what I'm doing. I'm putting down my marker and I'm doing the release. I suggest you guys do the same thing. Putting down, thinking about what am I stressing about, presentation, and now doing a scream and trying to fill in the free form drawing within this second circle in the middle, okay? Okay, the next thing we do is we're going to curve everything out. We're circling everything out. And while circling, we are doing important things like breathing. It's important to breathe. Pay attention to how are you feeling. Is there any discomfort in the body? This is an important part to go through when you are curving out the release of tension. If you have to breathe in. Actually, usually with my students and with myself, I also meditate a little bit before I do the release because it allows me to feel more grounded. Today we're not doing it because we don't have so much time. We're a little bit behind the schedule because I started late during the technical. All of a sudden, that never happens to me. Almost never happens to me. My computer just shut down as soon as I was about to start. I actually even pressed start and started talking, and my computer just shut down. Never happened to me. Sometimes I heard that happens with people who teach Neurographica. Their computer shut down right in the beginning of the class. So I'm assuming it's resistance. We call it the resistance from a psychological point of view. So here, it's a small throw. So I was able to quickly curve it out and connect it. Do you see what happened? What I'm doing now is I'm going to make connections of the throw to the realistic realm that I have here. Okay. Okay. Meaning I'm connecting my inner stress, which I just transformed, to the outer world, you know, to the social world, to the society, to the world of the retreat which I'm going on. And I am, you know, kind of connecting to those people who I'm meeting. And I am, you know, by drawing neural lines from my inner thought and emotion to the outside, I'm kind of like connecting myself to them on a highly, like, you know, energetical, spiritual way. And by curving out all the neural lines that I'm drawing, I'm also transforming to make sure that this connection and my presentation will be the most harmonious presentation in a way that will be done in the most harmonious way, you know, where people will be able to connect to me and understand what I'm saying, and people will be moved, and people will be able to draw their own picture and experience Neurographica, the magic of Neurographica, the way I'm doing it, and the way so many people all over Europe and Russia and oh, you also were late because of the technical difficulties, I see. Yeah, definitely resistance from both of us. So in Russia, this method of Neurographica, the methodology, is extremely popular. All the psychologists, coaches, art therapists, now educators, you know, business trainers, business psychologists, and coaches are all learning, and this is a huge, it's very popular. In Israel, it's popular. In Europe, I know it's popular. In Germany, I know there are like Germany, Vienna, right? There's a huge group of followers. So just letting you know that we are the Neurographica Americas School. We're bringing this modality to America, and we're so excited to share it with an English-speaking population, because this is truly a magical, I'm calling it not lessons, and I'm going to use that word magical. It's like, you know, sharing the world of Harry Potter with adults, which, you know, I am a fan of Harry Potter. So to me, it's like that word makes a difference. Now, see what happened? My reality has been transformed. I created a beautiful picture in my realistic world. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to make a release of tension in my next goal. Now, in my mind, the retreat, I just talked it out, and I just I'm completely calm and confident that it will be absolutely great and absolutely fine, and people will love Neurographic. So I'm going to my next goal, to the next realm, something that doesn't seem like very possible. I don't know, it's like probably can happen, right? Can I teach in like present Neurographica and Kabbala to communities in New York? I'm thinking about it. I mean, yeah, why not? If it's going to go well at my retreat in, you know, in Connecticut, which is like close to upstate New York, I can go beyond the state of New York, and I can start teaching, you know, I mean, to go beyond, you know, my own class and like little classes where I'm invited. I can start teaching in all over New York. I mean, there are many communities in New York where I can start teaching. So that's what I'm going to do. I am going to make a throw, and my stress and all my inhibitions and insecurities about this topic, teaching in communities, presenting Neurographica and Kabbala to the communities in New York, you know, mostly Jewish communities, because they're mostly open to Kabbalistic, but not necessarily everybody who are open to the idea of Neurographic and Kabbala. I'm open to teaching to those communities and presenting it to people in the whole state of New York, and maybe nearby, New Jersey, you know, Connecticut, Philadelphia, everywhere where people are interested. So I'm putting down my pen, thinking about my securities, my inhibitions. I'm going to make 3 deep breaths, you know, like kind of getting myself like situated emotionally and mentally, and then make a throw, okay? That was my throw. I'm going to curve it out. Okay. Curving out my throw, connecting, transforming. Remember what I tell you. Breathe in and think about what is it that you feel discomfort in your body. I said that, and right away I felt this deep throat and comfortability in my throat. It's like, I don't have enough air, like I can't breathe. And I'm like, ooh, that's what it is, you know, like I don't have enough air to breathe in, like. And by curving out my release of tension, I am really bringing up my discomfort on a physical realm, on a physical body. I am really transforming that discomfort as well. This is an important term to think about here. Honestly, doing such a small release, curving out such a small release, it's really nice and quick, okay? Which is good. It will give us time to go through the other steps of the algorithm. So this is very interesting, okay? There you go. I just transformed. And while transforming, I'm thinking, you know, while being at the retreat in Connecticut, which is near upstate New York, I'm going to meet with leaders from many, many communities all over the world. And specifically presenters, you know, people who come to Connecticut are mostly from the nearby states. Sometimes they come from the West Coast as well, but mostly from the East Coast. And I get to meet a lot of people and network and get to present Neurographica. And people are interested in that. They will see, they will be connected, and they will start inviting me to their communities to teach. Do you see what happened here? I just made a connection from this realistic point, realistic world, to the world of the probability, which in the beginning I was like, I don't know who's going to call me, but now everything just falls into place. I'm like completely confident. Yes, I'm going to present at the retreat, then go further to the communities in all over New York and, you know, tri-state area. I'm going to write tri-state area, you know, and nearby, you know, Washington, Baltimore, Boston, you know, Massachusetts, not just tri-state area, nearby, you know, going to write nearby, okay? Expand. You see what's happening? I'm expanding my horizons already. I'm already like covering at least 1/3 or 1/4 of the United States already. I'm talking about all the nearby states in New York where I can, you know, easily like take a bus ride, you know, and even considering like even Florida. I would love to go to Florida. I think that people in Florida and communities are so interested in what I would be presenting, you know, and I can fly there. So in my mind, you see what's happening physically already. I see myself physically traveling there and presenting Neurographica. And that's what I'm, you know, doing here. Now, you see what happened? I just jumped from one realm into the next realm. Now I'm going into my third realm. Do you see what's happening? I'm so close to getting to my miracle. But if you tell me your miracle, your goal, total goal, is to present all over the world, ooh, right away I'm started thinking, you're talking fairy tales. That's impossible. Not even possible. You know, forget about it. Don't even talk to me about it. Don't tell me something that's completely impossible. What's possible to me is presenting at the retreat, and I think I will be successful. I'm already like drew the success for myself. I will be presenting at the communities in New York. See, I went to the probable realm. Now, next realm is the possible realm. Now, is it possible for me to present Neurographica and Kabbala in United States and even go to Israel? Like when I say that, I'm not sure. Like in my mind, I'm like, I don't know. How would that happen? What would I do? And I'm like thinking, how would that be possible? And I have inhibitions and I'm having some insecurities. So what am I doing? Of course, I'm going to make a release of tension in this circle that's in the third world. Okay. I'm putting down my marker. 3 deep breaths, thinking about my insecurity and discomfort, and then make a release, okay? there you go. I just made a release. I started circling out, curving out my release. And right away, I want to tell you, automatically, I didn't even start thinking about it, but automatically I feel so nauseous. I'm doing deep breathing and thinking, where in my body am I uncomfortable? And I feel nauseous, right? Also has something to do with my throat. You know, it's insecurities, you know how they say butterflies in the stomach. That's what I feel, right? I feel butterflies in my stomach. I'm like, am I capable of carrying it out? Am I capable in, you know, traveling all over US, you know, possible to Israel, and presenting Neurographica there? And right away, I want to tell you, I'm already in my mind, realistically, I'm there. I imagine just myself now traveling to Israel, like actually getting on the plane, you know, actually sitting on the plane and traveling. And I started imagining my thoughts. What am I thinking about? And of course, I'm thinking about preparing. What am I presenting? Do you see what's happening here? I'm already in my mind, at least mentally. And while mentally I'm there, I'm also curving out the release of tension, my insecurities, my discomfort. I'm curving them out and making them harmoniously possible, accessible by my mind. The idea of me traveling all over US. Right now I'm thinking, there you go, a friend of mine who is, you know, she offered me to go to Limud. It's a great organization. And she said, you can present Neurographica and Kabbala in Limud in San Francisco, West Coast. This is it. This is what I'm talking about. Presenting in United States, going to the West Coast. That would be amazing. That would really be like my dream come true, literally. And talking about dreams, this is what we are exactly dealing with, you know. So that's my way out to reaching out to the communities on the West Coast, on that side of United States, right? And bringing Neurographica, the magic of Neurographica, the magic of Kabbala, you know, to that world, to that community. And now I'm thinking, yes, that's a possibility. You see, by the time I finish curving out, in my mind, completely possibility. Like I'm sitting in that plane, traveling to LA, or maybe it's Israel, and I'm confident. I'm not worried. I'm not frantic. I'm not thinking, oh, how would it all be? I'm just calmly sleeping or watching a movie and drawing Neurographica, which is, everybody know what neurographic artists do when they fly. They draw Neurographica, the best place to draw. Do you see what's happening? We are expanding our horizons literally in 3D. What happens, you see how I drew the circle, you know, mandala style? 3D, you know, in 3 dimensions, we're expanding our horizons. In my mind, I'm way beyond the retreat already, which will be happening this, you know, which I was like thinking and worried about in the beginning of the picture. I'm beyond that now. I'm beyond presenting to communities in New York. It's so realistic in my mind now. And I am comfortable now going to the West Coast, traveling to Midwest, traveling to Florida, traveling, you know, all over US where they have communities who are interested and willing to welcome me. And I'm so excited at this point. I'm literally just imagine myself and I'm excited to go and travel and present Neurographica and Kabbala to those communities. Yes. Guess where I am now? I'm looking at Europe and I'm like, it's impossible, but you know what? I don't even have to talk myself into it already at this point. I'm thinking, yes, Europe, here I come. And I'm looking at the screen and I'm seeing greetings from Vienna. And I'm like, yes, Claudia is here from Vienna. I have a friend in Germany. I have people who are in Neurographica America course where I'm a supervisor this year. They're traveled from all over the world. They come from, you know, in Europe, you know, all over former Soviet Union, first of all. And then in Europe, I'm trying to think. There is London, there is France. We have people from France, you know, people I'm thinking I would be willing to go to, like, you know, Switzerland and Scandinavian countries. I'm like so excited now. Do you see? I'm well beyond America now. I'm already in this world, right? So do I have insecurities and discomfort? Of course I do. Of course. I'm like, I'm thinking, you know, people like Vienna, I have Claudia, I have people from Germany, I have people maybe from London. I definitely have people from former Soviet Union, but from like London and France. I said that and I'm a little already like not sure. So I'm going to take a deep breath and do the throw, okay? You see, my throw is getting bigger and bigger because my inhibitions and my insecurity grow bigger and bigger. And of course, the throw is getting bigger. But it's also good because by curving out the throw that takes more space, I'm also curving out, transforming my inner inhibition and insecurities in a bigger realm. Just so you guys understand what's happening. We are literally going beyond our horizons and jumping from one world to another as we're getting closer to our coveted dream, to our quest, to that something that would be a total miracle to us. We're getting closer and closer to it at this point by, each step we're covering closer and closer. Each step we're getting to higher and higher realm, higher and higher goal, and we're transforming. Now, remember, we're curving out the release of tension, breathing and feeling where you feel discomfort in your physical body, an important part. Ooh, you see it. First, I felt discomfort in my throat, then it went down in my chest. Yes, the discomfort is in my chest, traveled down to my stomach, went up and stayed in my chest. That's my discomfort. I am curving out my tension, my discomfort, and I'm transforming the physical, that physical, fear. I'm going to name that's exactly what it is. You know how we talk about that discomfort? That discomfort is fear. We're bringing up, I call it the dragon. I'm calling it a dragon. There's a dragon deep inside ourselves, right? It lives deep inside ourselves. And it often sabotages us, right? It often gives us ideas and thinking is like, do you really need to go to Europe? Why do you need it? I mean, come on, there are people in Europe who can do Neurographic and present it. Why does it have to be you? Do you see all the securities and fears I'm bringing out? It's so important to talk about it, especially when you're curving out, because curving out is a meditation time. And I'm thinking, oh, yes, it's important because I'm not just presenting Neurographica, which, yes, there are people who can present Neurographica, but I'm also presenting Kabbalistic terms, which is, honestly, in my mind, is one of the most amazing ways to approach life from a Kabbalistic point of view. When you start understanding why God created this world and how he created the world, and all the ideas that are happening, all the ways how you, when you get to the main point that God has created this world and given it to you, the human being, to become a partner with him in transforming the world. Do you see the word transforming? And when we say the word transforming, in my mind, paralleling, jumping right away into Neurographic, and I start thinking, yes, transforming, paralleling, bringing out the world of Neurographica. This is what's happening. This is where Neurographica and Kabbala intersect and bring the best of both. That's why I want to present it in Europe. I want to become a Kabbala presenter in Europe, Kabbalistic terms, and Neurographica. Combine these two modalities, which are so important, so instrumental. Look what's happening automatically. I finished transforming my release of tension in the last fourth world. And look what happened right away. My subconscious, or unconscious in this case, see what's happening? Right away, I started making this boundary that separate this universe from the universe of God Almighty, that universe which is completely uncomprehended by us, the Ora Ein Sof. In Kabbalistic term, it's called the infinite light. This is where God exists in the realm that's completely incomprehensible to us on the human terms. But which we, the more you study Kabbalah, the more you study, philosophy and theology, you start understanding that you yearn to be closer to understanding of what God is, because you understand that this world was created for you, for me as a human being, for us as people, for us as a society. Remember, this is what we did now in this, right? I was first on my own as a person, then as a society, and then I'm going bigger, right? First I talked about New York, then, talk about the little retreat, then New York, then the whole United States. Now I'm jumping to Europe. Do you see what's happening here? I'm talking about the whole world. Why talk about just Europe? I'm going to take this realm and not just write Europe. I'm going to write South Africa. I want to travel to South Africa. I'm going to talk about Asia, right? Asian countries. People in Asian countries are so interesting. A friend of mine just recently traveled to Japan. She was telling how she was talking to her colleague. She's an orosoma specialist. She was talking about to people in Japan and China, and people were like, wow, this is so interesting. We want to learn about it. And I know people in Japan, in Korea, in China, they're interested in Kabbala. They learn about Kabbala a lot. Talking about, India, where we have highly spiritual people travel to India to, talk to gurus and talk to to meet some certain spiritual mentors. I think people over there would love to hear about Kabbala and, I'm going to write India, right? Nepal, Thailand, right? Oh, there you go. Do you see what's happening? Thailand. And I just realized I'm planning to apply to this program in Mexico, where I can be a presenter, and Mexico is like closer to you, South America. I've been talking about Europe and I completely forgot about something that's closer even to me, South America. Here I come. Do you see what's happening here? I'm completely expanding my horizons. And the more I talk about it, the thicker this boundary between the universe that we exist, the human universe, and the outer world, as any way you can understand it, the spiritual world, the world that's beyond our comprehension. We do. Remember in the first, scheme that I drew for you? Remember this thick realm, the boundary that I talked about? So in my picture, there's a boundary because what's going to happen now, I'm going to talk to you about making a leap. We're going to make a leap. We can't just go through this boundary, right? Jumping from one world to another within the four worlds. And we talked about the four Kabbalistic worlds, right? Kabbalistic worlds of creation, the four Kabbalistic worlds of creation. And we were able to reach the highest world, the world of Atzilut, which is like the highest spiritual world, right, in Kabbalah. Right? We went from one world to another to another. What we're going to do now is I'm going to draw a neurographic line that connects all the four worlds, because when we come to the boundary, my hand just stops. I can't go beyond it, okay? Look what's going to happen now. I'm drawing a neurographic line through I did the first world, the second world, through the third world now. And I'm going to connect it to the fourth world. And you're going to see a trend here, which we're going to signify at the end of our picture. What's going to happen is, okay, I forgot to write, the fourth step in our algorithm was to make a release of tension. Release of tension. Okay. In four worlds. And now in the fifth world, before going to the infinite, to the impossible, to the miracle world. Oh, excuse me. Oh, it's interesting. You see how my body just reacted when I talked about the miracle, the impossible, and my body was like, ooh, sneezing. Sneezing is like a physical tension release. Ooh, did you notice that? That was interesting. My body is just like, ooh, I just released some deep tension inside my nose, right? And we do know that nose completely connected to the throat. So I just drew a neurographic line and connected all the worlds. Remember what we're doing now. I'm going through the line and curving out all the intersection to make sure that this connection is nice and smooth and harmonious. Right? This is an important step in Neurographica, curving everything out. If you're watching this video and you're not so familiar with Neurographica, then I urge you to go back and watch. There are a few videos on YouTube in English already. One of them is mine. One of them is my colleague from the school. She's actually director of Neurographica Americas. Her name is Margarita. And she has also in our school, we have a YouTube channel. And we do have a video that presents all the basic elements of Neurographica. You're welcome to watch it and understand what neurographical elements and what are the important steps. So curving out is an important step. You should become familiar with it before and during you draw Neurographic, okay? You can even stop the video now and go become familiar with the steps to make sure that you're bringing the best possible, energy level, that spiritual, energetical level that we're talking about when we draw Neurographica. Okay, so, I want to tell you on a spiritual, energetical level, once I drew this neural line that connected all the worlds, I'm looking at the miracle and the boundary, and it's not so thick anymore. I'm able to penetrate through. This is the right word for it. We're going to penetrate through the last boundary and reach out and touch the miracle, okay? First and foremost, before we reach it out, my miracle is, my quest is presenting Neurographic and Kabbala to the Jewish communities or any communities throughout the whole world. And I already drew the whole world. This circle, this mandala circle, is a planet. This is the planet Earth that I'm trying to conquer together with my colleagues in Neurographica. And I'm trying to bring it together with Kabbala because I think it's so amazing for people to experience it. I love it. I see people enjoying it, and I am yearning to bring this magic to the people all over the world. Did you see what happened? I just completely clearly presented all the terms and gave ideas, and now my mind is not so like, when I think about presenting in the world, I'm not nervous anymore. My mind is not rejecting it right away automatically, but rather after going through all the steps, I'm like, yeah, that's possible. Why not? After I've been going through the steps, I presented in New York at the retreat, and in the whole New York, New Jersey, the first part of United States and half of United States, then the whole United States. I'm traveling to Israel, traveling all over Europe. Now I'm traveling all over other continents, Africa, Asia, South America, whatnot, Scandinavian countries, everywhere. And now I completely am confident and calm when I think about covering, reaching my miracle. And I said that. Once I said that, inside of me, there's a trembling. There's an inhibition, an insecurity that is waiting to come out, and I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to put my marker down. Do you also notice that with each world, our circle grows bigger and bigger? And the miracle, you know what? I'm going to draw my miracle circle even bigger. Do you see what happened? It just entered the last realm. Follow your intuition. People who draw Neurographica, they know that their intuition becomes very heightened when you learn how to draw Neurographica and you learn how to trust your intuition. So my miracle just kind of expanded, and I'm going to draw a release of tension and express all my inhibition and insecurities that's associated with this goal, okay? Putting down my marker, I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to not just take 3 or 5 breaths. I'm going to breathe up to a count of 10. Deep breathing, deep and kind of quick, rushing breathing, because this is the way you get to it's similar to holotropic breathing. Claudia, if you remember the way we were breathing during the matrices of growth, the higher you go, the more connected you become to your subconscious, unconscious, and then to that higher realm, which is the depth of your soul. You see my? Yes, Claudia, that's right. My release of tension now went beyond the miracle circle. It went all over. If you're interested, I didn't do it, and I am going with my intuition, but if you're taking more like half of the paper, that's fine. Go with your intuition, do it, do the release of tension. And look at this, I want to show you something. Look how the release is first more visible. And when it comes entering the 4th and the 3rd world, look how low the lines are. I'm going to go over them. I don't know if you can see it on the video here. I'm going to go over them. Here, I'm going to tell you, I got a headache now. Ooh, from that holotropic breathing, because that's what we did, right? That quick breathing is holotropic breathing. Not fully holotropic because it takes much longer to get into the real holotropic breathing. But that breathing gave me a headache because guess what? I got into a real subconscious, unconscious area of myself, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. And Claudia, I wanted to touch base with you and let you know if at any point you need to leave before I finish the video, let me know. I'm going to switch the camera on myself and say hi to you personally, okay? Because I already talked to people in person, but right now I'm focused on my drawing. But I wanted to let you know before you leave that I wanted to say hi, hello to you personally before, I will say goodbye to people in person, but if you things happen, if you're busy and you need to leave before I finish my video, please let me know. I would love to say hello to you personally. So what am I doing now? That's right, curving out my release of tension, going over all the lines that I just drew here. And see what's happening? I am bringing out all the lines that were so light and incomprehensible on my paper. I'm bringing them out. I am making them visible. I am bringing out my dragon. That's how I call it. There's a dragon inside of us. That dragon was a little tiny animal that lived inside of us when we were little, but it was every fear, insecurity, inhibition that we started ingesting with everything that's happening with our life. When something not so positive that happened in our life, we started imprinting that negativity in our mind, and we started feeding it to that little animal, that little tiny cute dragon. Do you guys remember right away sort of the movie Shrek? Remember there's a dragon in Shrek? Remember how they have those little tiny dragons and everybody like, ah, until they start firing, until the fire comes out of their mouths and they're like, I don't know, they're not so cute anymore because they have that whole fire going on and they can, put somebody on fire. So that's the dragon inside of you, okay? First it's small and cute, and then it grows stronger, and the fire that comes out of it gets stronger and stronger, bigger and bigger. And what happens afterwards? You grow up, and you think you have this little cute dragon inside of you, but no, that dragon grew, and it collects all your fears and inhibitions. And what the modality of Neurographica allows us to do is to take those inhibitions and bring them out. Allow the dragon to, to bring out the fire the exact right time when you're doing the release of tension. This is the reason why you scream. You scream to let that fire from the dragon inside of you out. It comes out and it does this, graphical vision on your paper. And then you're just going through it and you are curving it out and transforming everything. I want to tell you something now. Remember how I finished transforming all the lines here? Guess what happened? I went to this part and right away I started feeling so nauseous. My body is like giving me this physical signs where my body is like kind of like trying to resist all the transformation that I'm going through. And it's so interesting. And it's so amazing that I'm like, oh my God. I came back and right away I came back and I'm like, okay, there are more lines for me to transform before I go in the outer realm, right? It sounds like a sci-fi movie, right? Outer realm, where all the, how all those movies with all those, call it, the aliens from the different planets who come to visit us, right? That's what it sounds like, the outer realm. But, that's exactly where they are. They're aliens. They're like beings that exist on a different realm, in a different world. But that world, we just made that world accessible and closer to us, right? We are connecting to we didn't just go beyond our conscious, subconscious, and another subconscious. We went into our unconscious. Now we're connecting to the higher, most deeper part of our soul that's directly connected to God Almighty. That deep part of our soul knows all the secrets, knows all the meanings of the world. And you know what else? that deep part of our soul knows the exact reason why we came to this world and why we're here. What is our potential? What is our job? Why God created this world for me? Why did I come to this world? And why did God create this world just for me? Right? Because on the day that you were born, I actually heard this from a rabbi, a friend of mine. He was telling me that when his daughter turned, I think he said 8 or 9 years old, she came and she was like thinking about it. And he's like, talking about her birthday and everything. And then she said something. She said, Daddy, Abba, which means daddy in Hebrew. She said, Abba, I realized that I was born on the day when God decided that this world cannot exist without me. When he said, you know what, darling, this world needs you. And that's when I was born. And it was like so interesting how this little girl who was only 8 years old made this deep spiritual connection to God. She was able to understand there's something that, people who are grown up, adults, people get their PhDs and they talk about the meaning of the world, the meaning of life, right? Theologists and philosophers talk about it. This girl who was 8 years old, she was able to understand it. So I guess, she was connected on her father is a very good friend of her family, and we go to him. We recently actually by his house for a Shabbat meal. And it was amazing the things he told us, the deep spiritual connections that he brought to us. And I totally see how his daughter, who hears this, let's say, every week, like at the Shabbat meal, would hear her father talk about deep spiritual connections and what God is and what the purpose of life is and why are we in this world and how do we connect to God in our everyday, everyday happenings, what we do every day. We get up in the morning, we, get the kids to school or go to work, get ready, get ourselves ready and go to work. How do you connect to God during everyday routine? This is the word routine, And this is so important that to realize that every morning I'm going to go beyond what this girl said. Not just on your birthday, but every morning when you wake up and you look around and you see the world and you take a breath, your very first breathing that you do every morning, you stand up and you say, I am alive. I came to this world because God says, today I need you in this world. Please come and participate in creating, in shaping this world that I created, and I need you're a human being. I need your help. You came to this world to be my partner. Please come and help me. Come and help me connect this world with this, this world that I'm drawing, the miracle world, the world of where God is, God is open. We can see God openly. We can feel and see God. And God says, do you want to get to this realm? And I say, yes, I do. And God says, come on, help, because you cannot get here alone. You see what's happening here? I didn't just jump into the miracle world. I didn't just go from this world to this world, but we went slowly, expanding our horizons, so literally in 3D, growing, spiritually, physically, in here, in the second world, and third world, and fourth world, and then we get here. But I'm not doing it alone. This is what God is telling us, right? This is the reason why we are drawing the tension, and then what we do is we connect the tension. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw the neurographic line from the where I am in the current world, go through the worlds, and then connect it to the miracle world, which I just curved out. And I'm going to draw the lines and connect it to this world, This world is accessible. This world is a world that in Jewish tradition is known as the world that the Messiah will bring, right? We know that and I think in Christian tradition, the same thing, in an Islamic tradition, right? When the Messiah will come, the world will be perfect. And we will be not here in the physical realm where there's pain and there is problems, right? No. We will transform this world and we will bring us beyond. We will grow bigger and bigger, like the circle in my picture. And we will get to this point where we reach the miracle world, the world where God shines in the highest possible light. And we as human beings are able to receive the light, bring it inside us and connect with each other. And that's the beauty of the Kabbalistic world that I would like to bring to you. What I'm advising you to do now is, I'm writing the next, right? Do the release of tension in 4 worlds, then in 5th world, right? The miracle. You did the release of tension also to the 5th world. Now, the 6th step we're going to do is, I'm going to draw the neurographic lines and connect this miracle world to the world that we live in. And then there will be the last step, just like the release of tension. This step has 7 steps. This algorithm has 7 steps. So 6 is neurographic lines, right? Connection all over your picture, please, okay? Like I said, we don't live alone. We're going to connect the miracle world to all the world, okay? First, I'm going to connect this world to the next world, right? Yeah, you see, sometimes we miss some curving out. I'm stopping and doing it. Connecting, right? Drawing a neurographic line. I'm connecting. So the line I drew before, I'm going over it, making it thicker and making it more, more firm, so that this line will be nice and thick, right? And I'm drawing it here. And look what's happening. I'm entering the miracle world, and I'm connecting the miracle world to the world that we live, to our universe, to my world. And I'm drawing more neurographic lines all over the picture, connecting to my world and to beyond, okay? See what's happening? Connecting to this world. I'm making like the flow, okay? I'm doing it the style of the flow. You're welcome to do it your style. I feel the necessity to do it in this flow style. Well, from the miracle world, I'm connecting to all the 4 worlds. And I'm going to call it the way it is, beyond. You see? I went beyond it. In my mind now, when you're telling me that I will be traveling all over the world and teaching Neurographica, my mind is not even flinching. I'm like, totally, bring it on. I am on. I am ready for this. See what's happening here? We have done this, not just mental exercise. Oh, thank you, Claudia. Yes, listen again, because I gave the whole story, the whole explanation of what we're doing and why we're doing. And it's important for you in order to understand what we're doing, because right now I'm drawing and doing quickly already, so you may not fully comprehend. But you can just draw. You can just honestly listen and just draw your own picture of Neurographica. And because we are, all together, our realm, our energetical level is high, and it will open up new horizons for you, even in different algorithm and your own, quest, your own topic. I'm going through all the neural lines that I went through now, and I am going to curve everything out. I want to make sure that this new neural lines, neural pathways that I drew in my picture and subsequently drew in my mind, in my new reality, I want them to come harmoniously. I want to curve them out. I don't want any corners, no sharp corners, no sharp intersections. I want to draw, be happy. I want to teach Neurographica and have amazing time, because I love Neurographica. And I want people to feel it, to sense it, and to start understanding, expressing it, feeling it inside themselves, and enjoy Neurographica as well. Okay. Curving everything out. And you think about your topic, and you're thinking, where are you in your topic? Your topic became more possible. Have you did you do the same journey as I did? Did you go through all the worlds of probability, then possibility, then impossibility, and beyond? And now it's something that sounds like something impossible or like miraculous to you. You're like, no, it's possible. Just like in the story of Passover, God was able to open up, think about it, open up the sea. Think about the sea. Sea is impossible to control. Like, it's one of those forces of nature that's very hard to control, right? It took a lot of scientists and engineers to control water and the force of water and start using it like when they started conducting in previous, ages when they had the mills, but it's not easy. Imagine the nature. God was able to show, it wasn't the fact that God was able to go beyond the nature. We know that's a possibility. It's God. He created the world. The fact is, he was able to bend the laws of nature, and he was able to show it to the humans. He was able to give them, and this is what we're doing now. He was able, with the story of Passover, what happened is the miracle was created, the world miracle was created, the idea, the concept of the miracle was created. And this is what we're doing. We're creating the concept of the miracle. And if before we think it's miracle is something that happens to other people, but never happens to me, no. That's what the Hebrews thought. The ancient Hebrews thought, that's impossible. We will never stop being the slaves to the Egyptians. And God showed them, you have to, and this is the main word, believe. You have to believe in something and that will happen. And this is what happened. If you notice, when I thought about the miracle in the beginning, it was incomprehensible by my mind. And the world believing, and so it sounds like such a spiritual world. We all know that it's a mental world, okay? In order to believe, it has to happen in your mind. Belief happens in the mind, right? And so that's what happened to the Hebrews. First they were like, we can't believe this is impossible. And when Moshe, as we say it in Hebrew, came to the Jewish nation and said, I'm going to take you out of Egypt. That's what God told me to do. They couldn't believe him. And the 10 plagues, actually, the sages say the 10 plagues were more done for the Hebrews than for the Egyptians. It was to show the Hebrews all the miracles, all the possibilities that God can do for the human being when a human being wants to believe and wants to change the reality, right? Because the reality was they were slaves and they had to change that reality. Same thing now, right? The reality now is I live in New York and, how am I going to travel all over the world? I have a family to take care of, That's not not very possible. But when I went through all of the steps, all that possibility just came into the picture and I just thought of so many ways that's possible to happen. And this is how we comprehend the story of the miracle. We just created the word miracle and the possibility of miracle in our life, and that's what happened. So I curved everything out, and there's a last step in the algorithm, and I'm thinking whether I should be giving it to you now or after we do the coloring. So I'm going to give it to you now, but I'm giving you at this point the choice of first adding the color and then putting the last step, or putting the last step and then adding the color. I'm personally thinking I'm going to feel like adding it at the end. I have 20 more minutes till the end of my class, so I'm going to add some colors just to give you an idea. The last step I'm going to write to you is we're going to put a spiral. The way we're going to connect, did you see what happened when I did the neurographic line? So what we're going to perfect it. We're going to put a spiral in our picture, neurographic spiral. And neurographic spiral has a deep, energetic, connection, a high energy level that we're going to unopen and connect the energy, the level, the spiritual energy of the miracle to our reality right now, okay? I realize I'm going to do it now because I actually have less than 20 minutes. I was supposed to finish at 12:45, but I'm going to draw a few more minutes, and then I actually have another meeting I have to go to. So I'm going to add a spiral. I'm going to show you how. You can add it later if you want in your picture. You can add some color and then add the spiral. I will add it just so I can show it to you. So what we're going to do is we're connecting this miracle world to our world here. A few ways to do the spiral. We can go in the clockwise way and go around on each step, right? We're jumping the world, right? We're going to go through this circle, then this circle. You see what's happening? We're jumping the world. And by bringing it first, we're going to draw a spiral from the miracle world to our realistic world, okay? The reason for that is we are so connected to this last spiritual upheaval world in here that we would like to bring some energy down to this world, and then we will go over the spiral line and neurograph it, add neurographic line to it, and this way we will bring it up, and this way we will, first we take the energy. This is how it works, right, in the world. First, we take the teaching. When I'm teaching you the algorithm first, right? You take this algorithm, you draw, you perfect it for yourself, and then what happens? The student becomes the master. We teach it to somebody else, and that's what we're going to do. First, we're going to take it from this realm, and then we're going to go around and share it with the world, okay? We share our energy with the world. And remember, by sharing the one energy with the world, what happens to your energy? You look with my finger, what happens? First time here, I'm making a small circle, but with time it gets bigger and bigger. We are increasing our own energy. By sharing with people, with the world, we increase our own energy. And that's the secret, right? Remember that movie, The Secret? This is a real secret. By taking something that God gave us, we share with the world, and guess what? Our energy, it's like a vortex, right? That's exactly the power of the spiral. It's vortex power. Our energy increases, okay? So I am going to go into clockwise. You can also go counterclockwise. So clockwise, you increase your willpower, just for you to understand. And when you go counterclockwise, you increase your concentration. So think about what you need more. Do you need willpower or do you need concentration? Concentration means like how goal-oriented are you? So I'm actually started to think whether I need to increase my willpower or my concentration. I think at this point I'm very concentrated. And maybe I would need to increase my willpower. Yeah. At this point, I perfected my concentration because I put it as a topic. So I'm going to make a spiral. I'm going to do it with a black marker. You can do it with a different color if you want it to stand out in your picture. Play around with colors. Do your own artistic, creative approach to it, okay? I'm thinking about it, how I'm doing it. Yeah. I usually, what I actually do is a spiral. I may do that, yeah. I'm going to take a thicker marker, so you can, otherwise if I draw a spiral with the same marker, you're not going to be able to see it because it's going to kind of like, sink in into my picture, okay? So I suggest either a different color or a thicker marker. So this is what I'm doing. Look, this is my spiral. You see what's happening? I am spiraling the energy inside the world. First, I'm going into the fourth world, jumping the world and going into the third world. Right? Now jumping the world and going into the second world. Jumping the world and going into the first world. And now we're going inside myself. Voila. This is a spiral, okay? You can add. Now, I'm going to give you some terms now because I'm going to curve. Important, of course, to curve out the spiral. And then, if I don't have time, I will disconnect. But I want to tell you right away, important to curve out the spirals. And if you want, you can add some more neural lines going from your spiral outwards. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to curve out the whole spiral, and then I'm going to take a different color marker, go over the spiral and add some neurographic lines. We know that when we add neurographic lines to a figure, it becomes a line, okay? We're going to expand that energy, okay? Right now, the energy is great. We just like funneled in the energy from the universe, from like God Almighty, from the highest possible spiritual realm to ourselves, right? In regards to our topic, what I'm going to do now is I'm curving it out. I want to make sure the spiral comes in the most harmonious way possible. Suggest you do the same thing, curving it out. I'm not just suggesting, I'm actually letting you know that it's a requirement when you draw Neurographica. And I insist on you guys doing it. have a friend who's also my student, and every time she adds Neuroline, she gets like, oh, do I have to curve it out? I'm like, of course. She's like, oh, I don't know. She gets like upset because she feels like it's such a hard work to curve everything out. And I explained to her that it's actually great. You're creating new possibilities in your world, and you're doing it the best possible way. So for me, curving out is actually like fun, like, like it's like a puzzle. I love doing puzzles, Same thing as with curving out, like, oh, cool. I'm like thinking, oh, I am going to go over and find all the intersections and curve them out. It's like this. But I want to tell you, like right now, I just said curve them out. Remember what I teach you, breathe in and think where your discomfort is. The discomfort just kicked me now. Guess what? I feel nauseous. The same discomfort just keeps following me, right? It's the discomfort in the throat. I'm breathing in and out because this way I'm also transforming my physical body. Not just a visual, graphical picture, but also the physical body. Breathe in and out. Allow yourself to breathe the changes that you're conducting on your paper and you're conducting in your spiritual realm. By breathing in and out, you're allowing them to enter your physical realm. And remember, that's an important realm because that's where we are now. We need to conduct all the changes on the physical realm. Oh, I became lightheaded now. Oh boy. Lots of changes for my body to comprehend. Oh boy, I'm telling you, I became very meditative. I can't even talk much. That's how I get a headache now. You see, the more I curve out, the stronger the feeling gets, and the more I feel the need to breathe. So it can transform fully. Oh boy, I feel discomfort now in my stomach. It just traveled to my stomach. Stayed in my stomach. I got those butterflies fluttering all over my stomach. And imagine they're beautiful butterflies. That's all I'm going to do. Beautiful. Curving out this line that will bring me to my miracle goal. Now it's just a goal because now it's a miracle, but we kind of made it like accessible to us, right? We kind of became scientists who can explain miracles, this natural miracle. They explain it in scientific terms, and you're like, oh, okay, now it's logical that this happened, This is kind of what I am trying to do for you to get close to the idea that miracles are happening. And the main idea is you are worth it. You came to this world. The world was created for you. You came to this world because God says, guess what? I need you to run the world. Please come and become my partner. And then you say, God, can you help me out? There's this something that's beyond my realm of understanding. And God is like, of course, I'm going to create a miracle for you. And God creates a miracle. We have miracles actually every single day. I have a friend who created a whole group, a whole philosophy called gratitude. I mean, you probably know people like that, where every day people write, oh, what am I grateful to God for? She created like a WhatsApp group, and people write every single day in that group what they're thankful for. One writes, I woke up in the morning and I was able to smile and not worry about, where I'm going to find money to pay for my bills or something. So now somebody wrote, my son went to school without crying. I am thankful for that. Those little tiny things. And one person just wrote, I thought I have no milk, but I found milk and I was able to drink my coffee with my milk. I'm thankful for that. Basically, you can find things. You can find little tiny miracles in your everyday life. And you can be thankful to God. You can open up this way your horizons, exactly what we did today, right? We opened up our horizons and we brought miracle a step closer. We made the concept of miracle a possibility for us. Okay, so I am almost finished. I'm gonna stop now because I have another meeting I have to go to, and my son just came home. He's looking for me. And I am advising you to add some colors. I'm going to post the picture later on. I'm going to add some colors and post it. I am very happy to be presenting this video to you on behalf of Neurographica Americas. And what you do next is, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do is take a marker. I'm taking a silver marker, a metallic one. I enjoy doing it. And now I'm adding the neurographic line to my spiral, okay? See what's happening? We're unwinding our energy that we just God gave us. And we're opening us up and sharing it with the world. Exactly what happened. The world was sharing with us and we're sharing with the world. And this is what I am wishing you. I'm wishing you for your energy to expand constantly. For you to have enough energy to go beyond the realm of possibilities. And here, to finish up beyond the paper, okay? And that's my picture. I'm going to switch the camera now and say goodbye to you and add your pictures. You're welcome to post a picture in our group, Neurographica Americas. And we will be happy to have you on our more of our classes. We have an array of classes arranged for April. Please join us. Yeah. Okay, so I am here. Claudia, I want to say hello to you personally. And I would like to say hello and goodbye to everybody. And it was a great pleasure to have you guys draw with me. And I'm happy to be presenting this idea of the algorithm, the miracle algorithm, okay? Wishing you a great weekend ahead. Enjoy your time. Enjoy the beautiful changing weather outside. It's getting more and more like spring-like. I have the same for you guys in Europe. It's more and more, it's very warm actually already here in New York. So we're very excited here. Wishing you a great weekend and goodbye. And it was a pleasure to have you guys over.